Hey YouTube, it's BuckFan JKE here. So this video is going to be basically about 7 Days to Die. I know a lot of people are always wondering, hey, I just got the game. Maybe you saw a friend playing it. Maybe you saw a streamer like myself playing it. And so you decided to pick up the game and I've got no idea what kind of settings I should go into for my game world. So we're going to go into some settings that I think would really help you out if you're a beginner. We're going to do this on console and for the PC version. So let's get into it. Alright, so here we are. We're at the first load screen here of the console version. So I'm playing on PS4 here. And we just got to load it up a little bit. So basically, I'm just going to go through the quick settings, the things I would recommend to do if you're new. So first thing I would recommend is go straight to your options, go to your video options, and then when you see gamma, bump it to right where mine is. It's basically probably like 60%. If you don't do that, the game's going to be way too dark, and you can obviously experiment with this slider a little bit as you want to, but you can't change this when you're in the world, so you have to do it out here. But I don't even know, maybe it defaults like all the way at the beginning, but I definitely would try to put it somewhere like right there in that 55-60% range. And then the other thing you want to tick in this box is the distant terrain. Check that button on. If you don't, the world's going to be foggy. So now that you got your video settings, let's go to a new game. So just pick whatever character you want, and I'll kind of explain the differences here. It says it over here, but if you're brand new to the game, you never played it before, you've only seen people do it, I would probably recommend doing a local game. So the benefit of playing a local game is that you can pause it whenever you want to, and it stops the timer, stops the action. It's a local game. You can pause it. If you do a survival multiplayer, you can't pause it. So anytime you hit the options menu, the clock just keeps ticking. So if you can be paused, and zombies will still come hit you and kill you. So local game gives you the ability to pause it whenever. You can play split screen on console with a friend that's sitting on the couch next to you, and just stuff like that. I recommend doing local first, just to let you learn how to do it. If you're going to do an online multiplayer world and you only want your friends coming in, make sure you click private game. That way you can't just have randoms jumping in. If you have just this button right here, literally anybody can jump in this world. So that's something you don't want. So let's go to local game. And I realize we don't have desktop audio. So for the game world, there's two different options here. You can do novice game, or you could do random gen. I would recommend, for starting off, novice game. Here's why. In novice game, the world is literally always the same. So everything always spawns in the exact same spot. You can always find it. So if you do this version, eventually you'll learn kind of what the map is and what everything is. And it's kind of nice to be able to do that. So for random gen, it's what the name is. It will randomly generate a big world. You don't spawn next to a house. You just spawn out in the middle of nowhere. And good luck finding something. But there is always a central city, but it's not a city you want to go to early on. So we'll just do novice game, and then let's go into our options here. So we have all these different right here. So let's go to standard options. So you have all your difficulty settings here. I think default is adventurer. I would just go ahead. We're starting out, so let's go straight down to scavenger. Just make it as easy as possible. Learn the game. Zombies run. The default is they walk it during the day and run at night. You can have them to where they never run. You can have always run. I would just recommend going ahead and just doing default and learning it that way. I don't recommend just having them never run and then your nighttime's way easy. You need to learn how to, appreciate nighttime. Enemy aggression, you can have them to where they're very aggressive, sense through the walls, or you can just do normal. I would recommend normal, especially for new beginners. And then daylight length, default is 16. I like doing 18. If you do 18, that means your nighttime runs from 2200 to 4 o'clock. So it's easier. And then for modded options, you want to drop on death your backpack only. I think default is everything. If you leave your tool belt on you, that means all the items on your bar stay with you, and all your backpack items you have to go pick up if you die. And then you can do delete all, which is super serious, and you don't get none of them back. But I would highly recommend doing drop your backpack only. That means you'll keep your axes, your your wrenches, your weapons, whatever that's on your bar. You get to keep those and take those with you. Enemy memory, I would recommend 30 seconds. Basically, this is it. Whatever this time is here is in seconds. This is how long they follow you. So I would just recommend throwing that down to 30 seconds. That means if you run from a zombie, eventually they'll just give up, and then on this setting it goes quicker. So for spawning, I would just leave it at medium, but you can kind of see here the differences. I would just leave it at medium, honestly. I don't see any reason not to to lower that down, but if you wanted to get some of the other mechanics learned, you can lower that. Leave block durability at 100. The higher you go here, the more damage you and zombies have to do to a block to destroy it. If you lower it, you get through the blocks a lot quicker. I would just leave it at 100 because, like I said, it is you and the zombie. So if you got it to where you do more damage, so do the zombies. That's not fun. And if you increase it, it takes you longer to get materials. So I'll just do 50. Loot respawn time, you want to lower this to like 5. This means 5 in-game days it'll take for loot to respawn. I would definitely do it as low as possible. Loot abundance, you want to put that up to 200. That means you get more loot from containers and stuff. Airdrops, I would bump this all the way down to 24. That's the quickest you can get. So it means you get an airdrop, a supply crate every day. 24-hour cycle. This is personal preference. I really liked 120 when I first started. Being able to have those 2-hour days means 2 hours in real life equals 1 in-game day. Lets you get so much done. The drawback to this is the nighttime is so much longer. As long as you're busy at night, it's not a big deal. 60, I think 50 is the default, but if I didn't do 120, I would do 60, just because I think it makes the most sense. You do want your mark airdrops on, that way you can find them on the map, and then the rest of this doesn't really matter. I would leave cheat mode off. There's no sense in learning how to play the game on cheat mode, because then you're not really going to learn the game. Does that make sense? So, that's it. That's all we got for console version. Then all you gotta do is just hit start game. You gotta name it. Let's just name it GG. And then, boom, you're done. Now we're loading up into a world. Just as simple as that. Alright, so we're gonna be right back with PC version. I will see you on the flip side. So we're back over here. Now we're on PC. So if you look here, it's a little different. So I would just, again, start off, go to video, kind of look at this. Right now my gamma is kind of low, but I think it works fine. You could probably crank this up a little bit. I think it's on default, so I could probably actually afford to crank this up to like maybe 50%. So we'll do that. Run it at whatever resolution you want. I definitely recommend going full screen, but obviously do that however you want. I'm using a custom preset, kind of tweaking the settings based on my PC. This is some stuff you'll have to play with. If you want to know more about how this impacts your game, you can just hover over whatever it is, and it kind of tells you, what impacts it the most. I'm running on kind of a low-end PC. I'm literally using my work laptop, so you're gonna have to tweak some of these and just hop in a game and see how it works. And then I just leave all this the same. So that all the settings here are fine. So when you go to a new game, so let's just make up a name. You have all these options. So you can make it to where people can find your friends, or the public can find your server. If you do a not listed, that's going to be like a private type server. You can put a password, all that kind of stuff. You get to choose your world here, so you can choose whether you want random gen or Navis game. And then from here, you type in your world seed, it'll generate your Navis game map, and you can literally change the size to make it bigger or smaller. For this is kind of similar to the other. I would recommend Scavenger, recommend the 120 minutes, the 18-hour days. I would do, and this is kind of cool. You can actually disable the blood moon, make it to where you get a horde every day, or whatever. I'd keep it default 7 days, because that's, the name of the game, 7 Days to Die, right? So you can make it to where it lasts longer than a day. When you get your warning, what happens to zombies during the day, at night, and then the feral zombies, do they run all the time? Do they walk all the time? You can change literally all this. So, and you also get to choose what blood moon speed you get. Persistent profiles, you definitely want this on. If this is off, that means when you get out of the world, or your friend gets out of the world, their stuff's not going to still be there. And then I would crank this XP multiplier up. I'd probably just max it, just hit 300%. Again, for here, you can actually, on this version, you can crank up your player block damage and lower the AI block damage. For a new player, I'd probably recommend doing that. The Blood Moon Horn block damage, you can actually turn that down too. It's kind of crazy. For the loot abundance, again, max that out. Loot respawn time, you can probably go to 5 days. Same with this, drop on death, do your backpack only. You don't want to drop anything when you quit out of the world. You can tweak how many enemies you get. Just know that this does affect performance. The more enemies you spawn in, the worse it gets you. So I would just leave it on whatever the default is, which I think is 8. Enemy spawning, you can turn it completely off if you just want to learn. You can set it to where it's on. You know, pretty simple. You could do your airdrops every day like before. You can turn on cheat mode, turn off cheat mode, mark your airdrops, etc. And then for multiplayer, which we didn't go to on PS4, but it's basically the same stuff. I mean, you can have it to where you can kill other players or not, and that's basically what all this is. Does it give you a... Yeah, it kind of gives you, if you hover over, it kind of tells you what each of these things do. So, but anyway, that's the basic gist of it. So, if you like the video, feel free to go down below, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe if you're new. I'm gonna start putting out some 7 days of content on my YouTube channel. Hit the bell if you want notifications when we put the videos. Right now we don't have a set schedule, but do plan on getting that established at some point. I stream on Twitch. You're more than welcome to follow me on Twitch. Link will also be in the description below. I stream every Friday and Saturday night. Probably going to start adding in some Wednesday streams here and there, but it'll be random. Can't really count on that. So, appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you learned something. Peace.